So today I will be arguing why field hockey players should be considered a microculture, and telling you a little bit about field hockey in general. I will be talking about field hockey players' values and beliefs, their characteristics, their behavior and communication, and just some fun facts as well. And I'll be defining field hockey as a sport. So field hockey is a sport in which a player with a stick, if you're a field player, the objective is to run down to the opposite goal and score, and the goal is in the form of a net. Um, and we use balls rather than in like ice hockey, they use pucks. Um, so then there's field players, and then there's goalies. As you can see right here, the image of the goalie versus the field player. The goalie has a bunch of padding and is intended to defend the net from anyone getting past. So the origins of field hockey go all the way back to ancient times in Egypt, Persia, and Greece. In the modern day, it's more popular in Europe, very popular in South Africa too, and the UK and the Netherlands are the countries off the top of my head that are very where field hockey is very prevalent. Um, the modern day game was developed in the British Isles during the late 19th century and brought to the US in 1901 by Constance M.K. Appleby, who started by spreading the game to these 5 colleges: Vassar, Wesley, Holyoke, Radcliffe, and Bryn Mawr College. I hope I'm saying those right. In the US, it's mostly a women's sport, but in Europe, it is a very popular sport for both genders. And because it's an only women's sport in the US, it's not as popular, but overseas, it's actually one of the most popular sports in the world. And I'll be talking about how it requires a skill set, knowledge, and a motivation to be able to play. So, some of the values and beliefs of a field hockey player. The values include teamwork, sportsmanship, and strategitic thinking. So, teamwork, obviously, because field hockey is a team-oriented sport, you need to be able to work well with others, be able to make maybe sacrifices, be able to compromise, and be able to support other people on and off the field. And it requires very much a collaborative effort. Even if you are an individual player like a goalie, you'll need to be able to communicate with your other teammates effectively to be successful in this sport. For sportsmanship is very important and valued in this culture, because even if you're the best team in the league or the district or wherever you are, you're not going to be as respected if you're not a team with good sportsmanship. So respect is one of the fundamental values in field hockey. Is expected of the players by the coaches, and it's expected of the coaches by the players and the higher ups, and the refs and everyone. And one symbol of this is the handshake after the game to symbolize respect. And whether you have won or lost the game, you always do the handshake. And strategic thinking. So it's a very fast-paced game. You need to be able to make quick decisions on your feet, and it's essential to be successful. You need to, for example, if a player needs to decide if they're going to pass the ball to their teammate, or if they're going to just run for the goal themselves and score. Quick, on-your-feet decisions like those are very, very important when the game is in the moment in the game. And you'll need to be able to do those decisions if you want to succeed and if you want your team to succeed. So as for the beliefs, they stem pretty much from these values. It is that the team is more important than the individual. Typically, selfish players are not as successful. And if you are acting just for yourself, it's pretty obvious, whether it's to other coaches, to other players, or your own coach, and usually ends up in you being less respected among the sport. Losing is an opportunity to learn and grow. While losing does suck, a lot of times coaches will enforce to their team that losing is just a part of growing and learning. A good player is strong both physically and mentally. Adaptability and strategy are just as important as skill, and every player has a role and every contribution matters. So, as for the characteristics of a field hockey player, you pretty much need these three. You need to be competitive, physically fit, and have a good work ethic. If you don't have these things, you won't fail, of course, but you have them, you are more likely to be more valued and more successful on your team. So, for competitiveness, you need to have that a sense of competition in your practice and your games, just to have that to get used to it in practice, and so that you can apply it during the games. You need to be physically fit. Field hockey requires a lot of running from the field players, and you need to be able to have strong legs because you're pretty much crouching the whole game just because of the way that you need to hold your stick. And for goalkeepers, it's all about core strength and, again, the legs, because core strength, you need to be diving all over the place. You need to be able to kind of get down and get up really quick. You need to be able to jump and use all your muscles while in like the heavy gear. And the legs, you are kicking the ball, so you'll need to have good leg strength for that as well. A good work ethic really pushes a player forward. You need to be able to thrive off of not criticism, but feedback, and be willing to do whatever it takes to make yourself better. And also, you need to be willing to commit time to both training and the games, because it can take up a lot of one's free time. So, as for the behavior and communication between field hockey players, behavior, players tend to be more disciplined, sticking to a practice schedule and game schedule. Like typically during the week, it's all practices. Maybe you have one day off on Sunday, and then Saturday you have a game, and also it depends on the team, but you'll have a game pretty much every other day. And alongside practice and games, you'll need to stick to a fitness schedule and be able to track your nutrition as well, just to make sure you are in your best shape possible. Fitness-wise, it's more important during the season to stick to injury prevention rather than building strength. However, off season, you are focusing on building that strength to be the best for when the season does roll around. You need to have a clear mind, as well as being able to make quick decisions. You need to not be panicking to make the decision. So taking care of your mental health is extremely important, especially under high pressure circumstances, such as a game. Maybe you're tied. Maybe it's, you're ending in shootouts, which is basically like first shot. Whoever makes the first shot is the winner. We call it sudden death. You can practice things like meditation to be able to calm your mind. I think it works better if you do it in general rather than before games, because then you're more used to just having that calm mindset, and it could apply to struggles outside of your life as well. And finally, you need to have a positive attitude. Many field hockey players, especially during the game, are constantly using positive talk, keeping positive thoughts in your head, and offering words of encouragement to your team, just so that everyone can be their best and have the most positive mindset so that they can perform the best that they can. As for communication, there is on-field and off-field communication. Both have both verbal and nonverbal ways of communicating. On-field, there's verbal communication, which is usually has to be short and clear commands, such as I have the ball, or defend so-and-so, or shoot the ball. Just they need to be short and clear, just so that everyone can understand and everyone's able to quickly, like I said, making those quick decisions, is able to quickly make those changes. And the same goes for the encouragement. It needs to be short and clear so that you get the point across and your team stays motivated, but it's not taking up a whole bunch of time. The nonverbal communication consists of hand signals, eye contact, and body language. This can consist of, for example, there's something called a corner penalty, where the other team gets to basically somewhat of a free shot at the goal. And usually a coach will use hand signals or different codes to indicate to their team which corner they are going to play out on the other team. And off field, there is also verbal and nonverbal. Verbal is usually on the bench or during halftime. So the game is split up into quarters, which is just 4 15-minute sections with about a 10-minute halftime. that's what's typical. Um, and during each break, the coach usually will take the team and talk to them about what needs to be improved and also what they're doing good, just to keep them motivated, but also need to make those changes in order to succeed and strive to the best potential. And on the bench, it's usually teammates just talking to each other, telling each other what either they need to do better, not need to do better, but what could make the game even better than it is already, and just also more words of encouragement, keeping that positive mindset that I talked about a couple minutes ago. And nonverbal is usually just physical encouragement, like a pat on the back or something like that. So some fun facts about field hockey. It is, as I mentioned before, very popular. It's the second most played sport in the world. It's behind soccer. And again, as I said earlier, Europe, Asia, Australia, and South America are where the sport is the most popular and prevalent. There are no left-handed sticks. There's only one way to hold a stick, or one type of stick, I should say, actually, which is unlike most sports where either you can use either hand or there are right and left-handed options. I have seen players just either just adapt and use the stick how it's supposed to, or they actually use the stick backwards, which is pretty rare, but I have seen it. So field hockey also has the fastest ball speed in a team sport, which can reach over 100 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. It's played on different surfaces. The top three that come to mind are grass, turf, and astroturf. Astroturf is usually water-based, and it's much smoother and faster than regular turf. And then there's grass and turf, which many people are very familiar with. So, and lastly, the longest match ever recorded was 66.5 hours, which occurred in the Netherlands. And it was for a charity event. It wasn't just a regular game. So field hockey players represent a microculture with values, beliefs, behaviors, and communication patterns that set them apart from the dominant culture, which is non-field hockey players. Thank you.